What's coming next is the big one.
Yeah, I think there's some people that want to see Shiro piloting the Black Lion.
Well,
let him do something. Come on.
I was thrilled that Allura got to be in the Lion finally. It was.
Me too. Yeah, no one was more thrilled than me.
I was.
Yeah. We were both thrilled.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. The reaction's been amazing, and I think we all kind of felt it coming a little bit, and so when it finally happened, I think people were really, really happy about that.
I mean, Kimberly, so what's been sort of your proudest moment on the show so far?
I think, when she mastered the Blue Lion, I think that whole episode was awesome. I think just overcoming it, and I think we all felt for Allura, because the weight was on her shoulders even more. So, to have that gratification of mastering the Blue Lion was pretty awesome.
I also like seeing her attempt Lance's techniques of wooing the Blue Lion.
Yes.
In a desperate attempt.
Yeah, because it works so well for Lance.
That's right.
And Josh, I think one of my friends wants to know, and I do too, is this the season when we'll finally put a tracker on Shiro so we stop losing him?
I mean, I think that's a good idea in theory, but I think you're just going to find the tracker and Shiro will still be gone.
Have a little swoop of white hair attached to the tracker.
The one thing that stays behind.
I'm looking forward to the fan art of the tracker with the
white hair.
The white hair.
In space alone. Yeah.
So I think we should jump into season 4, right, guys?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we just saw that trailer. Where do we pick up in season 4?
After you. I mean, I think the cool thing about the show, I'll say this before Lauren way more, eloquently says what needs to be said. The cool thing about the show is that it's a giant serialized space opera, so it pretty much continues right where we left off. Go ahead,
And
Lauren.
Joaquin pretty much said it. It continues right where we left off. We're going to continue to see Voltron building their coalition, preparing to take on the Galra again, but we're also going to see what's in store for the Galra Empire, because now we know Zarkon is awake, but Lotor's trying to kind of put his own plans in place, so how that's going to pan out, how our Paladin situation is going to pan out, is all kind of up in the air.
Yeah, there's a cool sort of duality going on there between the Galra and, the Voltron Paladins. They're little, power something or other going on.
Is there a particular theme that you guys are sort of interested in exploring this season?
I think that's very much it, right? It's sort of that duality between those two aspects.
Previous answer.
Yeah, I think that's it. And it's something that kind of happened unintentionally. I think, we didn't go into it saying, oh, we got this massive thing that's going to play on both sides. That just sort of evolved organically.
Yeah.
Is that sort of one of the joys of sort of having this sort of, I guess, of the way that you guys put out these episodes now? There's more time for stuff to develop organically like that?
A little bit, but really our story process is very organic. We have set ideas of what we kind of want to do, but as the story evolves and as characters evolve, and sometimes things take a turn, and sometimes you end up kind of just changing the story to accommodate that. And so it's really just an interesting process, and some really interesting story twists come about because of that.
Yeah, but the fact that it is serialized does allow us to tell longer stories, which as storytellers, it's the dream come true.
And so as we saw in the trailer, sort of the team, it's sort of a very lighthearted trailer. So is it fair to say that the Paladins are in a pretty good place when we pick back up?
I mean, I think they're not at each other's throats or anything. And I think, the great thing about the show is that it sort of is able to go as broad as it needs to with the comedy, but it gets really, really serious as well. So you'll see there's definitely some consequences. I don't know that any of the Paladins are necessarily at each other's throats yet, but, we'll see.
I mean, speaking of getting serious, I think one story that has been ongoing since the first season is Pidge's search for her family. What can you say about that storyline this season?
I'm going to say it's still going. I think Pidge has made some really, big leaps in trying to find her brother and her father. She's found some little tidbits of information, and she's just going to continue to follow those as she tries to solve this mystery of where her brother and father ended up.
Please.
Yeah. So, and I think we have a clip though for them,
I
right?
think we do have a clip of
We're
that
gonna
very
watch it
learning.
now. We don't get to.
I mean, I think for us, it's so cool to see that character evolve. Like, she's a total killer now. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives me chills. It gives all of us chills, I think, watching your guys' reaction to those clips and seeing that character just so evolved.
Yeah.
I mean, in the clip, we saw. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying Pidge is great. I think that's kind of just assumed at this point.
I mean, in the clip, Pidge is off on her own. So, how do the rest of the Paladins sort of feel about her sort of pursuing this sort of on her own and sort of being away from them and unable to form Voltron, I guess?
I think they try to plan for these things. I don't want to say they don't do anything haphazardly, because sometimes the impulsive natures of certain paladins create issues. But for the most part, they try to plan, and I think they probably just found a point where maybe Pidge had found information that needed to be acted upon, and they let her go. And they've got the other paladins to kind of quash any issues that come up. But they try not to just ever put themselves in a completely compromised position. I say emphasis on try.
I mean, in general, as EPs, I guess, how do you balance sort of when you want to scale back and tell sort of a larger sort of universe story as opposed to sort of narrowing in on these characters and what they're in their own personal journeys?
I mean, I think we just use our gut. If there's obviously a bigger war at hand that everybody's involved in, but each of these characters have their own personal journeys they're on, and there have been times where we've wanted to tell those stories earlier on and then maybe reconsidered it in the writer's room. But yeah, we just use our gut, and it's like Lauren said earlier, it's a very organic process.
And I mean, about the other characters, you also have Keith and Shiro. Shiro is no longer a paladin.
No.
He's a paladin at heart.
Yes. Always.
How is he feeling now, sort of dealing with this sort of his new role on the team?
Oh, he's loving it. He's hanging back at the castle with Karan. They're working out, and Karan's teaching him how to grow a mustache. And there's actually going to be a new spin-off called The Gorgeous Men. It's going to be on Netflix. No, but seriously, he's adjusting to it. I think that there's still part of him that really wants to have his old role back, because I mean, Shiro's been through a lot, and being the leader of the team, being the paladin of the Black Lion was really giving his life a lot of meaning. And even though this is kind of what needs to happen, I think that there's still part of him that really wants that back. And he stuck his neck out a lot for Keith, and Keith doesn't seem to really want the responsibility. And there's parts of it that are tough for him, I think.
But he's a good leader, I think, at the end of the day. And we might have a clip to show that very instance.
I think we do, right?
I think we do.
Roll it.
We do.
And so selfless.
Yeah.
It's about the team. I like that.
So he's doing the right thing, right? I mean, he's
sums it
a
up.
great leader. He's very responsible. And there was a little drop of some information in there about what Keith might be doing on the side, a little bit.
Well, yeah, I wanted to dig into that. I mean, what challenges can we expect Keith to face this season?
I think the challenge that we started showing in the earlier season, that he's not very comfortable with filling Shiro's shoes, because Shiro's got huge shoes to fill. He was such an incredible leader, and Keith doesn't feel like he's there yet. So I think he's just trying to get as much training as he can. He's learning from the Blade of Marmor. He's learning from Shiro. He's just trying to fill those shoes.
And for Josh,
Yes.
Shiro has been through a lot of the, on the show.
To say the least, yeah.
For you, I guess, where do you hope to see for him this coming season?
I want to see him relax. I want to see him take a vacation.
Shiro vacation.
Just
Yeah.
chill. Just
Little
chill
Shiro
out.
vacation. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him have a good outlet for his leadership energy and just have nice things happen to Shiro. He's been through a lot.
Where would he go on vacation if he could take one?
I
Mermaid
don't know. I mean,
Planet.
Karan seems to know a lot about the planets that are safe enough to kind of live out the rest of your lives, and maybe one of those. Maybe one of those.
He's not at retirement age yet.
This would be like kind of a semi, not really permanent, not even really retirement. It'd be like a vacation. Vacation like a retired person, and then come back.
I like it.
Refreshed.
I like it.
And obviously, we also have two other paladins. We have Hunk and Lance. What's going on with them this season? What can we expect for them?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, Lance is my favorite paladin. No offense, guys.
Who's your favorite Galra?
What's that? Hey,
Who's your favorite Galra?
Settle. Lance is on a journey to sort of, I think get past his ego, his insecurities, and rise to become the hero that we know he can become. You want to speak to Hunk?
I think Hunk, as he's always been, is just trying to become more of that diplomat. That was something that we wanted to do with him early on. He had this passion for cooking and bringing people together through food, and he did a little bit of that in this previous season by, cooking for the people and bringing them together to talk about how they're going to take on the Galra. And he's just continuing on that path of becoming a better diplomat and learning from leaders like Shiro and Allura. And yeah, he's evolving at his own pace. I mean, we've already seen that he's become a way better warrior, and he's much more brave than he was in our previous seasons. But now he's honing in on his diplomat side.
So is he sort of leading the team as they sort of travel around to sort of strengthen the team, the coalition? Sorry.
I would say he's a helpful aspect to that.
Yeah, I think
kind of the opener. He's the opener. He's like the show opener.
He's the guy that everybody loves. Everyone gets along with. You send him in, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can't let you guys go, or we have to talk about one big thing. Kaltenecker.
What happened to
Everyone
Kaltenecker?
wants to know what happened to Kaltenecker.
I would say that's, aside from, our normal sort of paladin internet banter, Kaltenecker is right up there with what happened to Kaltenecker on the internet.
I think we might have a clip.
Yeah.
What happened to Kaltenecker?
Is it the Prince Lotor reveal again? I hope.
No, this is brand new.
That was funny.
Roll it.
Obviously, Allura was not expecting that.
No. She's still learning a lot about humans.
There are no Kalteneckers on Altea, so this is very new to her, this whole process.
The process is rather disturbing when you really think about how we work alongside.
It's very natural, Joaquin, as Lance said.
All right.
I have to
Nothing
admit, I died when I read the script for that
I know.
and seeing it.
But how does
actually
Lance
debated sharing it?
How does Lance know how to milk a cow?
Well, he grew up on a farm part-time. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a man of many talents.
Oh, man.
And that was a joke straight out of Joaquin's brain. He was like, but milking a cow.
To an alien, it's got to be the weirdest thing. If I saw an alien doing that to another alien, I'd be like, what is happening
I'm not drinking that.
I think it's very easy to sort of forget that Allura isn't human and probably hasn't spent much time with humans.
Very much so, yeah. And, the humans she has spent time with are, those guys that basically are not cows. So as soon as you bring any other element that is not, a paladin, she's lost.
And on Allura, I think what's in store for her this season, I guess?
Well, I guess we got to get the coalition together. We got some fighting to do. I think there's going to be hopefully some shift changes within our group, but that's for the greater good. And maybe piloting, she gets even better at that, hopefully. I think there's just going to be a lot of action to expect from the paladins, all of us.
How is she adjusting to being in the Blue Lion now, I guess? Because, again, she mastered it, as we brought up earlier. So how is she with it in this season?
Well, my father built the lions, so she's very familiar. She grew up watching the paladins fly these, as we saw with the paladins of old. And those flashbacks were awesome. So she's very familiar, and I think she's always had this desire to be a pilot. But she knows that there's the pilots, the Lions pick their pilots, and there's a big picture here, and it's all for the greater good. So she's on board for anything as long as we get the job done.
Absolutely. And she had that little period of uncertainty where she had to make that shift from the castle to the lion, and piloting a lion is very different from piloting the castle. But I think she adjusted faster than any of our other paladins, just being Altean and being familiar with that technology and the quintessence and that transference of energy. So, she's got a lot to show. She's got so much room to grow just being more familiar with the lions.
Is that familiarity, I guess, something that she brings to the team now as well, now that she's out in the field, that's an asset they can draw on?
I think absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, she's been sort of their beacon, their guiding light in this. If Shiro has sort of been like the edge of the sword, she's been at the very, very tip of the sword saying, that's where we got to go. Yeah. She's the most familiar with all of this, with the whole universe.
And now we've spoken about the good guys.
Yeah, enough about that.
Yeah.
All right already. We get it. Voltron, whatever.
So, last season, we sort of got some insight into what Lothar is trying to do, which is gather, sort of harvest the purest sort of quintessence, right?
Something like that. We don't really know what
Lotar's
he's up
plans
to.
are even too difficult for Lotar to understand.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Well, if you can you sort of tease, I guess, what's in store this season then, as far as you understand?
Oh, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you what he's going to do. I'll say he's unpredictable, as usual. What are you doing, Josh?
I'm listening.
You're listening? Oh, so you know.
Gotta leave the room, Josh. You gotta leave.
I have to defer to you guys because I don't know what's he going to do this season.
Well, I think we might have a little clip to kind of explain a
there
little
you
bit
go.
of what he's up to.
I don't want to give anything away.
Roll it up.
Give you.
So that. He'll be doing a lot of that, and what comes with that.
Yeah, I think we showed a little bit of it in the previous season with Zarkon and Minerva really kind of being obsessed with this quintessence, and so it is with their son also really going after the power that comes along with the quintessence.
What I love, though, is that while he has that obsession, it's a way more measured approach to the whole thing, which is indicative of his character. He's calculating. He's got a lot of thought that goes into all his deeds. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, out of curiosity, because again, we do have Zarkon as well, who woke up. I guess for you, in what ways are these? Do you view these two as sort of being their level of badness or evilness being different, or higher than, or one's more evil than the other? I guess how do you view their sort of?
Evil. I don't know about that.
It's not an evil contest.
Yeah, come on.
Ambitious.
It's a pretty contest, which we all know. Who wins that?
Shiro.
Shiro's
Hey,
is the most evil.
if
Yes,
it was a
that's
gorgeous contest, it would be Corinne.
Yes, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Obviously.
Nobody's touching Corinne.
What was the question? Who's more evil? I think it's different. I think they're different characters. They have different approaches to things. Zarkon is just like, I'm evil. And that's it. He's like, that's my thing. That's my game. Lotar's kind of, he's playing with some expectations and doing his own twist. Maybe he's not evil. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe he's just a really nice guy with some crazy ambitions.
There's more layers to this onion that is Lotar.
Lotars are like onions. Yeah.
But
Please
I'll
don't
also
meme
say
that.
Even with
You just gave him
Too late.
permission.
Someone's already drawn it.
When you say please don't meme, it's a meme.
Yeah, that means please meme.
Yeah, please meme. I can't wait.
Lotar Onion.
Who's going to be Donkey in that scene, though? Who would be? Coltonecker. It would be
Coltonecker.
Coltonecker. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
But even with Zarkon, if in viewing the flashback, hopefully you guys have a little bit more of a sympathetic twist towards Zarkon's motivations. He's ultimately, been turned purely evil, but the actions that led him there, I think, come from a very relatable place. So Lotar even more so.
Well, with that, because I think after he was sort of turned evil, he was sort of very sort of set on getting revenge for what happened to Daibazal. I guess, do you find that Lotar is driven by that same desire as well, or I guess is he just along for sort of the plan of ruling the universe.
Lotor's got his own thing.
Yeah,
He's got daddy
he's doing his own.
issues.
Yeah, daddy issues.
Yeah.
Definitely play into that. He's, I mean, he's trying to prove himself
Sure.
in many ways. He wants daddy to like him, love him.
Yeah.
Really. Aw.
But even that, I mean, that's incredibly sympathetic. And by the way, they blew up Zarkon's planet, so if they blew up Earth, I'd want revenge too. So
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little upset.
I get it.
I
But
don't know
even-
how we'd be off it to avenge it, but
Well, you know.
I mean, even beyond that, I think there was a little bit of a calculation in Zarkon too, where he was using that motivation, that revenge, to rally his people in this war. Because I think without that, some of the people would have been like, "What? But we've been allies with these people for so long, and now you want us to just attack?" He wants this quintessence, and he needs this war. So he's like, "Hey guys, look what they did." He's spinning.
Sure.
He's putting a spin on
Hey,
it.
we all spin, baby. We all spin.
I mean, I guess, how will we see Zarkon and Lotor's relationship develop now that Zarkon has woken up?
Huh?
I think that's what's interesting about it, is what will we see? It's still it stands to play out, because we know Lotor goes about things in a very different way from Zarkon. So will Zarkon just take back the throne, or will he see merit in what Lotor's doing? Who
We
knows?
were also joking that Zarkon might have just woken up and then gone right back to sleep.
Yeah, or maybe he just wants a nap.
Lotor could just put a pillow over his. Go to sleep, Debbie.
Zarkon and Shiro just want a vacation.
Can you blame us?
Imagine if they vacation together, though. That's an episode.
Yeah, they're just gonna go.
That is an episode.
They're gonna go to the space mall. They didn't get to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
On the beach. Be like that episode of Avatar where they're on the beach and
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk it out.
but they're stuck there, so they have to like make nice. This could be a whole thing. I'm sorry.
He's writing an episode. This
I'm
is how
writing
it
an
happens,
episode.
guys.
Give me
Like-
an EP credit.
It's
We
like,
could
hey,
trap Zarkon and Lotor in an elevator and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh no, no more elevators.
oh, there you go.
Taking the stairs.
Yeah, right, I'm taking the stairs from now on forever.
Only stairs.
And I guess, so in the clip that we just saw as well, we saw that they are going through this gate. Can you tease, I guess, what's waiting for Lotor and the generals when they go through?
Well, I think you saw in the flashback sort of what happens in that space between realities, that, you know, that quintessence zone. So I think Lotor's maybe planned for that a little bit, and we'll see. I mean, all is yet to be seen. We don't want to give anything away, but you guys, you know.
Yeah, he wants to harvest all that energy, and what he's gonna do with it, who knows?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess, but should we, I guess, because in the flashbacks we saw that when Voltron went through, I mean, they're in Voltron, but they still had sort of trouble in that space as well.
They did.
I assume that Lothar will have even more sort of turbulence.
He's at least got the benefit of having known what happened in the past. So maybe planning around that would be his way of going about it.
I guess my last thing about on this subject, because I know we're trying to avoid spoiling it for the fans, but when they went through, there was also that evil force there in that in-between space. Is that evil still there, or was it all just sucked up by Zarkon?
That's a heck of a question, man.
I just thought of it now.
A lot of time has passed.
A lot of time has
Who
passed.
knows?
Yeah. And yeah. Yep. And yes.
We're not gonna answer this. I think is what we're trying to say.
So we do have time for a fan Q&A, but before we get there, I do want to sort of make a couple announcements for you guys. First off, all of you here will receive this NYCC exclusive poster of the original Paladins created by Lauren herself.
So cool.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
AJ keeps
beautiful.
drawing crap on Zarkon's face.
Yeah.
Stop messing it up, AJ.
I'm sorry. I had to draw
Starts
doodles.
drawing like glasses on him.
Yeah.
How long
Terrorizing
does
his
that take?
father.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Oh,
It took me a while.
that's amazing.
Well, you know, I have to give credit. Anthony, our color supervisor, did all the beautiful color on this. I did the line work. It was a symbiotic relationship.
Wow.
So thanks, Anthony. I couldn't have done it without you.
So awesome.
And next up, we also have, please stop by the booth number 2243 to pick up brand new Voltron comics from Lion Forge. Issues 1 and 2 in the second series just came out this week. Next up, I'm just going through this list, guys. Surely you've all picked up your Paladin Handbook from Simon & Schuster by now.
Surely.
I hope so.
Call me Shirley.
But now there are 2 additional titles in the chapter series are on their way, including The Blade of Marmora and a very special Space Mall chapter book, which means more Kaltenecker.
So quality reading, guys. Pick them up.
The Voltron Coalition posters that you've seen Voltron social on Twitter and that have been all around the convention center this weekend are now available for purchase on store.voltron.com. And Han Cholo has New York Comic Con exclusive enamel pins available at booth number 139 while supplies last. So hurry there, get them. And last but not least, the Voltron VR Chronicles, the first ever VR experience for Voltron, is available on PlayStation VR, Oculus, Vive, and Stream VR.
First, does that mean...
There's more.
I shouldn't be asking questions like that.
Settle down,
I
Lothar.
want Lotor in just from his perspective, combing his hair. That's what I want in the mirror.
How much time goes into
360 view.
Always bring it back to Lotor. That's all I'm here for.
Yeah, but that game is a trip. It's beautiful. We got to experience it in the office, and it's really amazing to just be surrounded by, like, the castle bridge. Like, we've worked with it for so long, but then I got to stand on it and look around. It was just amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was sort of the most fun part of the VR experience?
I think just piloting the lion,
Piloting a
sitting
lion.
in the cockpit of the lion and being able to use the controls.
Shooting down some Galra ships. No offense, AJ.
You guys won't let me play it. I haven't played it yet.
I don't think any of us have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeremy has.
Yeah, Jeremy had.
Oh, wow.
He gets to do everything.
Oh, the perks of being Lance.
Everybody getting crazy. What happened?
Okay, so are we ready for our first question?
Was it something I said?
I can see
This
nothing.
will start on this side.
That line is huge.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kristen from Brooklyn, New York. In fact, I'm doing a Brooklyn alternate universe to Laura. Hi. My question's to the cast and, of course, the crew, and it's about Lotor and the past and the episode Paladins of Old. We got to see that Allura was introduced to Zarkon and Onerva. I was really curious, where's Lotor? Like, I was curious because the whole idea, I figured that if they introduced their child, they, Honerva and Zarkon would introduce their child. So I was like, where's Lotor as a baby, and why did he get banished in the first place?
Boarding school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's safe to assume that Alteans and Galrans have very different customs between the two, so it might not be proper form for a, Galran emperor and empress to just bandy about their kid and say, like, here's my kid, check him out. Yeah.
Who knows?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Maybe Lotor wasn't born yet. Maybe there's an age gap between Allura and Lotor.
Bum, 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 bum.
I guess we'll go over here.
Hey there, I'm Brian from the Bronx. So what I wanted to ask was, for the past couple of seasons, we've been getting a lot of very serious developments with Keith and Shiro and Allura and even Pidge with the Search for Her Family. With Hunk and Lance, are we going to see any more serious or higher stakes developments for those characters?
All in good time, my friend. We like to take our time with the stories and with the characters, and when their story comes about, it'll be there, and you will see it.
I think the good thing is, again, it's a big serialized story, so there's room. But there are a lot of characters, so you want to make sure you can service everybody. It's got to play out when it naturally plays out.
You have a nice voice. When that came out, I was like, hi, I'm Brian from...
Brian from the Bronx.
What a nice voice. Pleasant.
Oh, score.
Read
Thank
my
you so
GPS.
much. All right, and if there's any hand shippers here, make some noise.
Wow.
Did you say hand shippers?
Yeah, what is that?
Do you ship hands?
Oh.
Oh,
He meant
Not
Hunk
touching-
and Lance.
Not touching
Oh,
Hands.
it's not hands.
Not
All right, I get it.
All right, so Hand shivers.
I like a hand.
Like, what's a shivering hand? Like a shivering hand, like spirit fingers? That's what I heard.
This is a hand ship, where's our... All right.
What are we doing?
Next.
Okay, my name is Jonathan Moore, Yonkers, New York. My question is for Kimberly Brooks. How is it, my question is, sorry, I'm not nervous because you're so beautiful.
She really is.
Thank you.
Okay, my question is, how is it to work alongside Cree Summers? And if you had to choose between Lance and Shiro, who would you pick?
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Laura, who would you pick?
Oh my gosh. Working with Cree is awesome. She is amazing. I love her, and I've known her for years. We've worked together in the past, way back on Rugrats. That's how long I've known her. Yeah, and
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I think Alora's so focused on her mission. She He does have good hair, so I don't know.
This is true. Purple. He's purple, too.
I don't know. I think she's focused on her mission, and...
But who would Kimberly pick?
Oh, who would I pick?
Yeah.
Lotor.
I'm... Shiro. Come on.
I feel so betrayed.
I do not.
Thank you. That was a good question.
Ready?
Over here?
Hi, my name's Kay, and I'm from Los Angeles.
Us too.
Rap
A
girl.
long way.
Yes, same way as you guys. Well, my question is, last year at this same panel, I asked about Lance and the Black Lion. Now that we've seen how much Keith does not want to be a leader or is cut out for it, will we continue to see Lance in being Keith's right-hand man? Let me speak. Come into his own as a leader himself, as he's proven he's capable. Does this have any mirroring or juxtaposition to Zarkon and Alfor's relationship?
Wowie zowie.
I think there's a lot of thought that went into that.
Way to turn that
Come here
ouch
from
into
LA and say, let me speak. That's crazy.
I know. I love it.
That's a really interesting sort of theory.
It's really well thought out, and I think that you're kind of dead on where you see the relationships between these lions and between the paladins that are in those lions. You have, it's a very specific type of person that these lions respond to, and you see there's the leader and the right-hand man, and Lance has absolutely come into his own with Keith and kind of being his stability. And I think you're right. I think there is definitely that comparison that can be made.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up.
Hi, my name is Danielle, and I'm from Baltimore. First, I want to thank all of you guys for creating such an amazing story. I know you can't go into any specifics or name any characters, but I was wondering if we will be seeing any LGBT representation in the Voltron universe before the show ends.
That's such a good question.
I think...
It's a really good question.
How can we...
I think it's something that
It's very important to us.
that is super important to us.
And there's, obviously I think what's great about our community is that you can pretty much tell whatever story you want to tell and put whatever you want to see into these characters. And just know that from our perspective, we're fighting to create as open and as broad a spectrum of characters as we can. So,
We can't give you any definite answers, but
we can definitely say that we're advocates and we're fighting for as open and as broad a spectrum of characters as we can create.
Hi, I'm Mari, and I'm from San Francisco.
Hello.
you came a long way too.
How did Blue feel about leaving Lance? Because doesn't she know about his insecurities? And how did he feel when she rejected him?
I think Blue, like any good mother figure, knows when a child is ready to fly on their own. And I think she saw what a lot of us saw in Lance, which was he was evolving and he was coming into his own as a character. And she saw Allura, who really wanted to be an lion, but still had some learning to do herself, and she'd seen that Allura had evolved as well. Like, Allura went through a whole arc in the earlier seasons of, having difficulties accepting Keith and then coming to that acceptance. And they're both characters that are growing and evolving. She had done her work with Lance, and it was time for him to move on. And now she's going to do her work with Allura.
Great answer.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Fabio. I'm from the Bronx.
Fabio.
My question is something that's been bugging me since season 1. So in one
Don't
episode,
start that way.
don't open with that.
all right. So in one episode, Lance does get homesick about Earth, and it's always been. I'm wondering, they sort of just pieced out of the academy, and they went off into space and did adventures. Is that something that's going to be revisited at some point, where they do come back to Earth? Maybe something.
That sounds awful spoilery, sir.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly spoilery. Just know that Earth is very much still in play out there in the universe.
It's still their home.
Yeah, the universe is very big, and there's a lot of defending to do of other parts of the universe, but we feel you. Fabio, we feel you.
Hi, I'm Carolyn from Binghamton, New York. My question is, so we all really enjoy the voice cast on Voltron, and the seasons are pretty short, so I really enjoyed the DreamWorks motion comics that were on YouTube that had the full voice cast. Do you think we're going to get any more of those in the future? Because I think they're a great addition, and the way that they tell the story is really good in motion form.
That's awesome to hear. I mean, I think.
Yeah, I don't
exactly
actually
what
know
we wanna
the
hear.
answer to that question, but I feel like it's probably a pretty good chance that we will. I think they were pretty successful, and I'm glad to hear that you're watching them and you're enjoying them. We love them. We love hearing our characters' voices. I mean, it brings a whole new legitimacy to the comic to hear their voices saying those words. Yeah. And so I'm going to say I
that makes
hope
them
so.
stand apart. The fact that you guys, lent your voices, it sort of gave them a bit more validity. Not that they weren't valid before, but it just sort of added this other element to it. If enough of you say the same thing, I'm sure we'll see more of them.
Yeah, say it. We'd love to do it.
Yeah.
I would love to do it.
I'd love to do one.
Oh.
But as Zarkon.
Wow.
I'll voice that. Neil can do Lotor.
You're going to have to talk to Neil about that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think Neil will
Neil
appreciate
can play
it.
Lotor. He'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
I think.
It'd be like a Freaky Friday thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We writing an episode here?
We actually have time for 2 more questions, one on this side and one on the other. Sorry, guys.
Hunk, let's do it.
Hi, my name's Caitlin. I'm from Montville, New Jersey.
Jersey!
And I was wondering if Lotor ever found out about Keith's secret, how he's half Galra or whatever, if it would ever affect Lotor's view on him and how he I don't know, fights him or works with him or something like that.
If it would affect his view on
Of himself?
Of himself?
I think that's also very spoilery.
Yeah.
A lot of spoilery questions going on here.
I think he loves himself no matter what
No matter
he is.
what. I think Lotor's a very accepting person.
Yeah.
I think, as we've seen, he's super accepting of all types of Galra, and so I think he's probably pretty down.
I think the fact that the generals are clearly not pure Galra is an indicator as to how he feels.
He's good.
He's good.
Okay, last question.
I'm Stephanie. I'm from Long Island, and my question is: since Keith had to work so hard to get Red to accept him, how did he feel when Lance just easily got the lion?
Well, I think Lance actually had to do a little bit of work to get accepted by Red too. Lance actually had to get over a pretty huge hurdle of accepting Keith, this guy who he'd kind of had this chip on his shoulder about, as his leader. And so it was a huge kind of blow to Lance's ego, but that was also a very big part of his growth.
Yeah, that was his lesson.
And I think Red saw that and was like, all right, man, you're putting the cause before yourself. I'm down.
I think Red also likes to put people in really tight spots before he's like, all right, let's do the thing and let's get on with it. So he likes playing that game a bit.
It may not have been a physically exerting moment, but it was definitely a...
Emotional.
Yeah, emotional.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look at Allura down there. So cute. There's no one around you. It's all reserved.
It's the princess section.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing.
Well, we're almost at time, so I want to thank you all for coming out here for Comic-Con and for sharing all these clips with us. Thank everyone here for waiting in line to see us.
Yeah, we just want to say we absolutely love you guys, and
I saw some pictures online of that line, so you guys are incredible for waiting in that thing.
Yeah, you're literally the best fans ever, and it means just so much to us that you guys would come out and we could all share in this together.
Yep.
Yeah. So great to be here. Thank you.
You guys are amazing.
Well, that's it. I think
that's it.
Wrap it up.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.